could be larger than life, bigger than the world.
Hey everybody, it's Brad. Welcome to the session, 2020 NARTS conference, the first virtual conference, and my breakout session, 4 Faces of Resale Success. Now I'm trying to get the lighting fixed up here and the angle so that I don't have the glare in my glasses, and I can't not have glare in my glasses. These were expensive glasses too. I paid $1 for these at Dollar Tree, and I'm a little miffed that I'm getting the kind of glare that I get, but be that as it may, I'm going to press through and do the best that I can. So the focus of today's session is going to be on personality and the role that personality psychology can play in our resale success. And my proposition is this, that every resale leader can boost their resale success by applying 4 key personality types to their work and to their brand. Now to do that, we're going to break down into 5 different sections here. We're going to talk about very simple basics of personality theory. And then we're going to understand 4 personality types or styles, and I call it the 4 faces of resale success, most commonly found in any person and definitely any successful resale business. I'm going to identify I'm going to help you identify your most likely personality bent as an owner or manager, and I'm going to help you understand the 4 types of work then behind the most successful marketing and operations activities. Finally, we're going to just round out with a summary of 7 principles of personality that will help you create unique goals for your business in the coming year. Now, I'll tell you that I'm recording this whole session at home, and I'm going to do it in probably 50 little bites, and then I'm going to put it together in some software I have. So hopefully this works out. So you'll see me maybe in different shirts at different times. I do have pants on, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, just to introduce myself, my name is Brad Hobbs, and I have co-owned a successful children's and women's resale shop for about 14 years now called The Adorable Child. We're in Knoxville, Tennessee. We also sell online at theadorablechild.com, and we have learned a lot over the last 14 years. We're now in our 15th year. My background has been very eclectic. I'm an engineer by background. I worked for IBM for 10 years. I've been an entrepreneur in many different ventures. I was in the stained glass business for a number of years. I've been a pastor coach. Right now I'm full-time on the business, but I'm always a student, and I'm always a student of people and of ideas. And so this whole personality psychology field is the perfect blend of people and ideas that maybe it's my hobby, but it's my avocation as well. So what are some of the basic things about personality theory that we need to know for our purposes today? So first off, personality psychology is one of the most popular branches of psychology. It's a function of our nature, our nurture, our experiences, and our choices throughout our lifetime. So personality constantly is responding to that. It's not an exacting science. It is a descriptive, or what's called a typological science, because there are many ways to describe personality. There's the Myers-Briggs personality instrument, as you probably have heard about. We're going to talk about the DISC today. There are 5 types. You may have heard of the Enneagram. That's been hot lately. So there are a lot of ways that personality psychologists use to describe who we are and how we are regarding personality. Now, just as success in relationships varies greatly with the kind of people we are, so too success in business depends hugely on the kind of business we run. So personality speaks that language and helps us to become the people we want to become, and helps us to become the business that we want to run. Everyone is a mix of types that can vary with circumstances, and some of those type elements are hardwired within us. But typically we do have 4 sides to our personality, 4 faces to our businesses. We're going to unpack that today. Every business needs a little of each, not just an abundance of one. And all too often we have a tendency to dominate through one personality type. And what happens is, while we may be good through that one type, we begin to fall away regarding the other types that are so important to having a well-rounded business. So personality is something that can be learned. It is transformable. It is malleable, and that's the good news. This holds true for a person and a business because people do change just as circumstances change, and we can change and adapt in response to that. In fact, really, the task with any kind of personality read that we have on ourselves or on our business is there are three things we can do. We can understand, we can adapt, and we can engage with the reality of what is there. And that's the kind of the key to productivity through personality. Let's keep going. Now, let's talk about a definition of personality. You might simply consider personality is you on the outside. It's what you are like on the outside, how other people experience you from the outside. And I want to compare personality with character and temperament just to distinguish theirs. Personality, you see, arises within us and shows to others what is there from an outside view. But character reveals really what is on the inside, and you can separate the two. You can have a persona that is devoid of what character you really are on the inside, and vice versa. Temperament refers to the different aspects of an individual's personality, things like extroversion and introversion. It's regarded as something that is innate or inborn and is not really learned. It doesn't change really in the course of your lifetime that much, but personality is really what develops on top of your temperament and kind of takes advantage of all the different traits and elements of your temperament. None of this really is our destiny or our identity, and I do want to emphasize that our personality is really an exterior layer. It may not reflect who we are at our innermost being, our innermost level, but it does demonstrate the content and trajectory of ourselves. And so understanding it becomes pretty important. And it's particularly important because really of this equation. The equation that I've thought about for a long time is that our mindset and our behavior, those two together really predict our outcomes, whether it's for our lives or for our businesses. Now, our definition of a business personality is this. It's you or your business to the outside world. And as such, personality is very related to brand. So brand is to your business what personality is to you. And it's clearly how others experience you, whether you are aware of it or not. So it becomes pretty important to know and understand about ourselves and hence about our businesses. All right, we're back now. We're going to talk about those four types, the four faces that are most commonly found in successful resale businesses, or really successful businesses in general. And how do I know that? It's because you have these four faces, I have these four faces. We're a little bit of each of these types or faces. And this is based on scientific approaches, multiple scientific approaches. And they just so happen, though, to correlate to the types of owners that are described in that book that we have read before called The E-Myth Revisited. And a few years ago in Minneapolis, I gave a presentation about Remyth, using the E-Myth type, and I added one more type of owner and called it the Rainmaker. And so you're going to see how all of this maps against both the Myers-Briggs and the DISC type personality assessments. So I wanted to say one thing, though, about a particular model called the Enneagram, because the Enneagram is very popular nowadays, and it is comparable to both the Myers-Briggs and DISC. However, there is one specific difference that is important. It's the reason why I didn't really use it today, is the Enneagram helps us discern our deeper thoughts and feelings and motivation, while the DISC helps us talk and learn about our external behaviors. The Myers-Briggs does something similar, but it measures different facets of the internal processing that we have compared to the Enneagram. But the Enneagram is a worthwhile one to consider as well. But let's double click now further on the Myers-Briggs compared to the DISC. And each of these have four types. Each of these have four faces. The Myers-Briggs, and that is like the INTP or the J, it's likely that you have taken a Myers-Briggs assessment, probably more than once. You probably have taken a DISC assessment too. I'm going to give you an opportunity to go to a site where you can take those for free in just a little while. But the Myers-Briggs is going to give you a picture of your internal processing, the way you handle things and think things and feel things on the inside, while the DISC measures external behavior. The Myers-Briggs helps us to learn as individuals, understanding things like ourselves more clearly, helping us making career choices and develop strategies for interacting and relating to other people. The DISC is designed to help people in teams, to help us understand our work personality, our preferences for work, how we usually respond to stress at work, and how to develop strategies for getting things done and for working with others productively. That's why the DISC is such a powerful tool for work and business. But if we look at just the Myers-Briggs right here, you see the 4 different scales. The EI part is introversion or extroversion. It's how you focus your attention, and more specifically, where and how do you go to get re-energized? Do you prefer to be re-energized by yourself or with people? The SN is our sensing or intuiting. It's how you process information, whether you process it take information in by sensing or by intuiting. The thinking feeling is how you make decisions, how you use the information that you take in. And the judging perceiving has to do with how you take actions. If you're more of the J, you're more likely to just decide and move ahead. The perceivers like to have all the options remaining open and like to put off decisions a lot of times. So, now, comparing that to the DISC, there are again 4 faces on the DISC, and those are, first of all, the D, which is the dominance, how you respond to problems and challenges. The I has to do with how we influence others to your point of view. Now, we all have a little bit of each of these. We both have all have a little bit of D, a little bit of I, a little S, and a little C. The S is steadiness and stability. It's how you respond to the pace of your environment, whether it's slow or fast, and how do you get things done in that environment. And C has to do with your compliance, how you respond to rules and procedures set by others. There's a big difference in how these are measured. The DISC typically has just 24 questions. It measures the 4 personality types. The Myers-Briggs has 90 questions on average and actually kind of subdivides it a little bit down. They have the 4, but then they have each 4 has 4 for a total of 16 different types. The Myers-Briggs relates to more of the internal facets of your personality and tends to remain more fixed and situationally independent, we'll say. But the DISC is very specific usually to your environment or situation. It can actually kind of float based on the context within which you're taking it. So a DISC taken for your home and family might vary a little bit from the DISC that you would take for work. They would probably have a very similar shape, but your scores would probably vary from each of the axes. Hey, so let's take a deeper look at the DISC itself. You know, there's 4 specific areas that are measured by the DISC. And if you look at them together, you can see one looks at our task orientation versus our people orientation. The other looks at how outgoing versus reserved that we are. And again, this is from the standpoint of our behavior in regards to work. If we look at each of the 4 quadrants, each of the 4 dimensions of the DISC, let's just take them one by one. And in doing so, I want to correlate them to the E-Myth owner roles that are described in the book. And we talked about it at our 2017 conference. The first one relates to drive and dominance, as we said before. It's how we respond to problems and challenges. It describes the way we deal with those things, how we assert ourselves, how we look for control in the situations. But moreover, in regards to our business, it's how we look after the future of the business and the results of the business. This is where you find the act of that part in us that is the visionary, the dreamer, the innovator, the part that really wants control because we care about the results and we want to be the main change initiator. That's why we went into business. That's why we run a business. And I would suggest there needs to be some D in every business to keep things moving forward. That's the drive dominance part. The next is the influence part, and as I said before, that's how we influence others to a point of view. It describes really the way we deal with people, the way we communicate and relate to others. High I folks are often the rainmakers, the sales, business development people, the ones that drive the sales forward, whether it's in store, on your Facebook Lives. They're ones that are more likely to initiate conversations with people and look at how revenue can be generated on a day-to-day basis. There needs to be some I in every business in order to create revenue. You can't do without it. The third one is the S, or the steady factor, and that describes your temperament, such as the patience, the persistence, and thoughtfulness that you bring to the business. It's how we respond to the pace of the environment. It's the E-Myth manager role, the one that's the organizer, the planner, that creates structure in which work gets done consistently on a day-to-day basis. If I want to put someone in charge of running the operations of the store, I make sure that they are a high S in their DISC profile, and that tells me that they are going to care about those things before everything else. And I would suggest there needs to be some S in every business in order to get things done every day. Well, the last one, and certainly not the least one, is the conscientiousness component of it. And that describes how we approach and organize the activity, the procedures, responsibilities. It's how we respond to rules and procedures. And it's the E-Myth technician, the one that's looking at doing the right things well, doing the right things right, if you would. It's the doer, the tinkerer. They attend to the nuts and bolts of things with a serious eye towards quality and precision. They know what the end goal is, and they don't stop until they reach exactly that end goal. There needs to be some C in every business in order to do the right things well. So now, did you see the trend there? Did you see the commonality amongst all of these? There needs to be some D in every business to keep things moving forward. There needs to be some I in every business in order to create revenue. There needs to be some S in every business in order to get things done every day. And there needs to be some C in every business in order to do the right things well. Well, that goes without saying, really. And it's hard to find all of those in one role, in one person. And that's why depending upon a team is one of the best things that we can do. And when we're in the part of our business, the cycle of our business where we're doing it all ourselves, you can see how we would get spread very thin because there's a lot to be done in creating a business. So just to correlate these back to the essential leadership roles of a business from the E-Myth model, you see that the entrepreneur, the manager, the technician, and the rainmaker, those all correspond to the D, the I, the S, and the C in the DISC model. It was something that I thought was kind of neat when I first saw it after reading the book and being a coach using the DISC profile for quite a while. So that's all for now. We're going to come back here in just a second and talk about how you can identify your personality bent as an owner or manager of your resale business. Hey, all right, so I want to help you with some discovery instruments that you can use to take your personality test to help you understand what your personality bent is. Now, these are littered all over the internet. You can Google right now personality test and find hundreds of them. But I want to give you a few pointers how to determine which one to use and how to use the ones that you use because it really does make a difference. And the first tip I want to give you is if you only use a personality test for entertainment, that is great. That's fun. You can have a good time with it. There's a lot of ones out there. But be careful about using them for growth and using them for business development, because they won't give you the kind of specific feedback that you really need. And what you really need out of any kind of tool is to help you to relate to people better or help you to do things better. That's how it's going to improve you and your business. I love this quote that I really don't know who made this quote. I put it in quotes because it was a really good quote, but it said this: the foundation of personal and professional success lies in knowing yourself, understanding others, and realizing the impact of your actions and attitudes on other people. And that's the key phrase: realizing the impact you have on others. That's one of the best things that a personality tool, a personality assessment, can offer us, whether that other person is a spouse, a customer, a consignor, an employee, a coworker, you name it. And that's one of the great ways we can then use personality assessments. So I'm going to show you this little video that I made of browsing through some of the assessments online. Have a look at it. Pick the one that you are most excited about, and then have a look-see. If you would like to talk to me later about helping to administer a particular tool called the Talent Insights Assessment, I can do that too. I do that for coaching clients. It's about $200 per person, and it can also make for a great team study as well. So, okay, here we go. Let's start with the Google and see what it shows us. Okay, so now we come to the grand application of everything we've talked about so far, and that is applying the traits of personality to the work we do in our resale businesses. Now, what I have done is taken a little bit of personality theory and a little bit of the E-Myth Revisited, and I have put the two together in a way that reflects what I know we do in our resale business, and I think what most of us do in our resale business. And I've called out 4 different kinds of work: a purple work, a blue work, a green work, and a brown work. And those 4 kinds of work, working in tandem together, create the right set of activities that give us the best shot at resale success. So what I'm going to do is break down each of those kinds of work, and they represent, again, the types of work, the personality types of your business, if you will. And we will see, one moment here, we'll see how they work, what they entail individually, and how they work together. So brown work, green work, blue work, and purple work. So among the most important questions we can ask ourselves are these 3 questions as leaders and managers in our resale business. Number 1 is, what is my role in the business? And I would propose to you that your role is going to change as your business grows. Now, you're going to do some common things, but as your business grows, you'll have to take on some new activities, new leadership things, and you'll have to let go of some things if you're really going to let your business grow and prosper. The second question is, how shall I organize the business? And that will change over time too. The way you organized our business, the way we organized when we were 1,200 square feet with no employees, is different now from the way we organize our business with 3,500 square feet and 9 employees. So the third question then is, what systems do I need in order to create and run the business? So that's where we come to the separation of activities. The purple work, which is all about creating, visioning, and ideation. Then blue work, which is about strategy, about the mission of our work, about leadership development. The green work, which is where the real money is made, all of the activities that are what are called revenue activities. And then brown work, the day-to-day hands-on work that must be done in order to have a healthy business. And so we begin at the top, the purple work, beyond our common sight, and seeing what might be there that draws us, that lures us, that gives us hope and faith and a sense of purpose, that gives us a sense of mission, that fuels us and energizes us from the inside out, as it were. Because those things are at work within us. It's kind of like Simon Sinek's start with why. For us to start with why, it causes us to think beyond the day-to-day and even the end-of-year goals that we have for business. It is the deepest sense of why we do what we do and the value that we're going to bring to others as a resale business. Now, this involves things like creating a vision statement, maybe. Maybe it's a sense of of values and principles, a purpose statement. It's perhaps taking time out for yourself to cultivate that sense of calling, that sense of vocational, what's next for me, and becoming convinced in your own heart and mind that you are at the right place right now doing what you're doing. Doesn't mean it lasts forever, but it means that right now this is the worthwhile place to be putting your time and attention. But from a business standpoint, it's also about doing things like a SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as a business. It's making time out for strategic planning, for drawing your team together, for doing team building exercises even. It's about lifelong learning. It could be about going back to school, or it could be about finishing school, or it could be about signing up for a course, or it could be about something as simple as taking a personality assessment and pondering what that means to your business and drawing the members of your team into that as well. This is purple work. It's something that leaders must do if there is to be a business tomorrow. We're going to want a business tomorrow, not just today, and it's something that is an important part of how we spend our time and attention. That is purple work. Oh, and I forgot this. Maybe this is the most important thing. Anything that we do in NARTS is considered purple work, or could be considered purple work, because it is about development of ourselves, our business, sharing ideas. It is time spent away from our business, thinking about our business, and truly working on the business. That is purple kind of work. NARTS is purple. NARTS, you should have a purple logo, your purple work. Well, that brings us next to blue work. Blue work is about the atmosphere we create for a business, the environment, the culture, if you will. From our operating principles to our culture, our support systems, at a high level, it's about integrating people, process, and technology to make our businesses run. Blue work is about turning the strategic from purple work into reality. It's bridging the gap between ideas and technology and learnings with to produce information and results. Blue work is about taking what we will learn at conference from NARTS and making it our own in our own shops. So what kind of activities would blue work contain? Well, it would contain things like a SWOT analysis. It would help us ask questions like, what kind of business do I want? How big do I want to grow? What kind of team do I want to build? What kind of people do I want to hire? It would help us to ask and answer, how should I train and develop my team? What will be the distinguishing parts of my culture? When people think about our when people think about our store, what will they think of first? Will your reviews say on Google and on Facebook? What do you want them to say? And that becomes what you want to work to, that kind of business that you want to build. It is about taking your strategic plan and creating the kind of projects and action steps to actually break it down and to become a reality. It's about going to market. It's about handling employee development and coaching. It's about deciding how you will handle customers when they are at their worst. And it's about the operating principles you will abide by day in and day out. That is blue work. It is about creating the whole environment, if you will, the whole culture of your business in a very specific way. So there's purple work, blue work, and that brings us to green work. And you think of the whole landscape, the whole garden, the whole yard, the whole field. This is our actual business and what will go into the business. It's the set of systems of the business, and hence the most critical to intentionally and strategically design. The brown work done well is necessary to produce healthy plants, but the plants themselves need to be arranged in order to produce the most fruit. That's what the green work is about optimizing the fruit of your business. So that's going to involve things like creating your product mix. It's your consignment agreement. It is revising your consignment agreement. It's looking at, for example, things like item fees. In implementing item fees was one of the most important green work things that we have done in the last several years. Since the start of our business, actually. And increasing those item fees is one of the most important things we've done within the last 3 to 4 years. Intake process, how you're handling your workflow, that is green work. Green work is the act of establishing what your workflow will be, the kind of work that you'll do with your inventory. Also things like your pricing strategy, your merchandising plan, your inventory management process, your financial management strategy and implementing that. It's involving setting your markdowns and creating your sales. So with green work, we look at the landscape of our store every single day and over time period, using our numbers, using our spreadsheets, and our customer feedback, and deciding what needs to change within the field that we tend. That is what green work is all about. It's where you'll find the S's at work daily, implementing processes and looking for ways to improve processes within our business. So that brings us down to brown work. And brown work is where everything really gets done. And it involves every single one of us, as you know, if you're in resale. But to draw a comparison with the farming metaphor, brown work is the act of doing things that need to get done every single day. It's working the soil, cultivating it, tilling the soil, watering it, fertilizing it, aerating it, weeding it. It's the quality of the soil that ultimately impacts the quality of the crop. That's one of the things I learned as a kid growing up on a farm. And every day in resale, we have to get our hands dirty. We have to work the soil, every single one of us. There's brown work to be done. And so that involves things like intaking, helping customers, sorting, pricing, tagging, hanging, putting items out on the floor, boutiquing them, taking out the garbage. And I'm speaking of clothing resellers right now. Furniture, you've got your own version of this as well. It's writing payroll checks. It's working on technology, repairs, cleaning, working with racks, signage, you name it. So there are different varieties of brown work as there are. But in this work, the work of the C's become really important because the C's help us to take care of all the things that need to be taken care of day in and day out. It's doing the right things well. The C's correspond to, in the E-Myth world, the technicians. That is brown work, perhaps the most important work that we do. So now we can pull it all together. We can relate the four elements of the disc profile and the four types of work: the purple work, blue work, green work, and brown work. And here's how that maps out. We see wherever we see the dominant style in the disc model, we see at first the E-Myth entrepreneur, and we see a contribution greatly to the purple work of the business. Those things seem to go hand in hand. Wherever we see the influencers, the I types, we see a heavy involvement in the blue work, the rainmaking work, the work that builds revenue, and the work that keeps moving the business at the pace that turns cash. Wherever we see the steady work, the steady profilers, whether that is that part of you that is an S, or it is a person on your team that is a high S, we see the E-Myth manager at work, the pragmatic planner, organizers, and we see a huge contribution to the green work of the business. And wherever we see the compliant, the conscientious players, whether that's a part of you or a team member, we see the E-Myth technicians hard at work on the brown work. Now, the thing that I want to emphasize is, number one, we individually are all each of these to varying degrees. None of us are all of one type. That's just an impossibility for us. We would be not fun individuals to be around if we were just D's and nothing else. So we all have each of these alive within us. And some of these, by temperament, we are more geared towards. We more prefer to work in those modes. But over the course of time, as we grow our business and as we grow up as individuals, we gain a capacity to be able to shift gears and to focus or bring into the picture resources to complement our dominant positions, our dominant types. And that's what it means to build a good team. That's what it means to become a well-rounded person. And that's why within the E-Myth model, you've got the entrepreneur, rainmakers, manager, and technicians. All of those are roles that must be played to grow a business. And the type of work that that business will entail will be purple work, blue work, green work, and brown work. All right, you did it. That brings us to the end of the session, and we have covered a lot of ground in the last 40 minutes. I hope this has been of help to you, and if there was a few takeaways that I wanted to leave you with, it would be these final things, these 7 principles of personality for resale success. And here they are. All right, we are in the home stretch now, and let's see if we can't finish this out strong with 7 helpful principles of personality that will help us as we attempt to capitalize on how we're made, how we are, how we have learned to be, both individually and as a business, to create success in the resale world that we are leading. So if we apply these 7 principles of personality, it offers us a leg up in understanding. It helps us to adapt to the individuals on our team and allows us to engage one another in productive, collegial ways. And these 7 principles are this. Number 1, personality is a function of nature, nurture, experiences, and choices, as we said. And as such, it is able to be shaped and transformed over time. It's not static. Temperament is more static, but your personality on top of that can adapt and be formed to your environment in which you work. Number 2, there are many ways to describe personality, such as the Myers-Briggs and DISC. We've talked about those. And there are many facets of personality then to understand, adapt, and engage with. I encourage you to pick one and use just one right now, and let that be the tool that you use over the next year to help engage your team in productive relational ways. Number 3, the more you know about the personality of yourself and your coworkers, the better able you'll be to creating a fit between people and tasks. Number 4, just as success in relationships vary greatly with the kind of person you are, success in business depends greatly on the kind of business you run. Personality speaks the language to make that possible. Principle number 5 is everyone is a mix of types, and that mix can vary with circumstances. We each have 4 faces, a little of each core personality. Number 6, every business needs a little of each, not just an abundance of one. And 7, our key personality task then is to understand, adapt, and engage with our reality. That is the key to productivity to personality. So we have done it. You did it. You hung in there. And in leaving you now, my encouragement is that you see personality as not something that's just there for amusement or pondering your own navel, but understanding the personality of you, your team, and your business can help you reach new levels of productivity, all through the personalities that are a part of your business. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll look forward to your questions in the coming days and weeks ahead.
You can fly higher than the